Hey guys, Deathletter Magic here, and Wizards did a massive, unbelievable scale, careless oopsie earlier today. There are screenshots from a dozen different people floating around of this. They lost control of mtgo.com temporarily because they didn't renew their domain registration. Oops! Rule number 1 of IT management and web development is don't lose control of your freaking website. But I guess they either didn't get the renewal emails or did, and I'll do it later. And then, whoopsies! Looks like the expiration was 1/31/22. So if you're not familiar with how domains work, basically, like, I set up a server because I want to run a website or a service or whatever, something on the internet. And it's like 191.68. Some IP address, but you don't want people to have to type that. You want people to type in awesomecheeseemporium.com. So you go to, GoDaddy or whatever, and you say, I want to register awesomecheeseemporium.com. Here, pointed at blah, blah, blah IP address. That's a drastic oversimplification, and there's something called name servers involved, but generally that's how it works. But you pay by the year, typically, and I think you can not pay above 8, I think, or 10 is the current rule. Well, I believe Wizards registered it in 2001, but after 21 years, oopsies! So earlier today, if you went to it, it would just go, oh, Network Solutions, renew now or backorder domain. Here's a stupid search for some crap. It was basically a placeholder page saying, this domain now is under the control of Network Solutions, which is kind of like GoDaddy. So peeking behind the curtains, it looks like the name servers were changed to NS1 and NS2.pendingrenewaldeletion.com, which is exactly what it sounds like, owned by Network Solutions. So according to some information that I looked up, they re-registered it for a year, which is, that cost them like $9 or something. And since like 9 times out of 10, if somebody lets a website lapse, it's because they're no longer interested in that domain, they're not running the website anymore, their business failed or whatever. So if they go dropping, $9 just in case, and then they're wrong, 90% of the time, it's going to get pretty expensive. So because of that, and because, domain squatting is a pretty good scam, pretty lucrative that other people are pulling, so they're like, why don't we pull it ourselves, to be quite frank. What a typical shady company will do, now I can't speak for Network Solutions, is they'll send you an email saying, hey, 90 days from now, it's going to expire. Hey, 60 days from now, you better renew it. 30 days, you might want to renew it. And then when it expires, okay, now they'll stop emailing you, now they'll call you, now they'll send you something in the mail, because now that big money is on the line. So they'll be like, hey, your domain, like we tried to, tell you it was expiring, we tried to contact you, but you didn't renew it, so we just for your own safety renewed it for another year and we're holding it just in case you want it. But because we took such a drastic financial risk, hand over about $1,200. Like, I've seen what some of these fee quotes are, like even from GoDaddy and from even worse companies. I could name some names, but they're no longer in business. I've heard upwards of $3,000, $4,000, $5,000. Sometimes it's based on view counts and stats and how big they think your company is. So I can't imagine what Wizards just paid to buy this back from them. It was probably in the thousands of dollars range. It's not just, we've got our customers' backs, and if they make a mistake, we don't want somebody sniping it because they might blame us or give us bad press. So, 49 times out of 50, we drop $9 and it fails. So, whatever exactly the average is, we'll just charge them that. So like couple $100. No, they're like, this is the opportunity to make an enormous profit. These people are desperate and they just lost an entire website. We're going to charge them an enormous amount of money. And honestly, it's probably as much or less than if somebody else snapped it up and was holding it for ransom. And that kind of implies that it's illegal. In some countries it is, in some countries it isn't. In America, my understanding of the laws last I heard it, which is like 15 years ago, so don't quote me on this, but if I bought mtgo.com, I registered it for 2 years for myself, and then I instantly pointed at one of my web servers and put up a page saying, MTGO is awful, I hate it, they're terrible, and then say, hey, I'll take it down if you buy it out from me. That's basically extortion, but if I just leave it blank and never contact the company, then it's fine. If I buy it out and say, hey, this domain is for sale, which usually people will just put up a generic, this domain is for sale, contact me here, wink, wink, I'll sell it to anybody who makes a decent offer, wink, wink, wink. I think that's legal, and it's extremely legal if I'm like, mtgo.com, finally, it's available. Now I can set up the thing I've been waiting on for 3 years, which is Mike's Tasty Gator Omelets, MTGO. Because my friend Mike, he makes tasty gator meat omelets, which that actually sounds awesome. I've had gator before, it's really good. And I just had omelets last night with fresh grated Parmesan. Oh man, okay, now I want that. Okay, maybe I will set up the website. Okay, spoiler alert, I'm sure you already pulled up a browser. It now routes to the correct page, so Wizards bought it back. The funny thing is, it's not even its own website. They just registered it because, Magic the Gathering Online, and it's 4 letters. If you have a 4-letter domain, there's bots out there watching for that one. Okay, they scrape the data and they're going to try and re-register it the second that it lapses. If you're a high-profile website, or if your domain is like 2, 3, 4, or 5 letters, oh boy. They are watching you because they could sell it back to you for $1 million. But yeah, now it just routes to magic.wizards.com/yourlocalcountry/MTGO. So it's a rerouter. It's not even its own website. I could see why they would kind of let that lapse. It's just a dummy domain. But if you're smart, you have all of your domains in one company, all registered like in the same place. But over 20 years, it gets fragmented. Maybe some are at GoDaddy, some are at Network Solutions, and some are elsewhere. Well, and then, sometimes people register it under, Bob.last name at wizards.com, and then he quits, and then the renewal notices are going to an invalid email that doesn't exist anymore. That's why you document stuff. You make sure 2 people know about everything, and just all these IT standards that I learned in college that apparently the morons working at Wizards don't follow. But, well, Seattle and most of the people there use Macs. So, if those 2 things don't speak to their level of IT knowledge, I don't know what else would. So yeah, they made the #1 mother of all oopsie, which is almost losing control of your domain and then having to pay your own registrar a glorified ransom shakedown fee to get it back. Good job, guys. Ooh, let me check something real quick. Hold on. Oh, it hasn't been like 24 hours or whatever. This isn't propagated correctly. Oh, that sucks. Yeah, I'm still looking at bad who is information. I wanted to know how long they registered it for. It still says it's pending renewal, deletion.com in control of it. Obviously it's not, because before it routed to, Network Solutions page, and now it redirects to like the actual Wizards page. So they obviously paid them something and regained control of it, I guess. But I think it's still pending or something, or it hasn't propagated in the whole world yet. But I really wanted to see if they registered it for like 2 years, or if they registered it for like the maximum, which I think is 10. Because if it's anything less than 10, I think they're just setting themselves up to make the same mistake again. Now, the other thing is, remember, they just sold Magic the Gathering Online, MTGO, to a third party. They are now in control of it. So this might have something to do with that, but usually you don't, let your domain lapse and just say, hey, can you guys snap this up at your leisure? Because like I said, 4-letter domains, it doesn't matter what they are. Somebody scraped the database of every combination of letters that exists, and then they have people trying to renew it 1 millisecond after it expires because 4-letter domains are worth millions of dollars. Well, I'm sure they'll make the mistake again in the future. So what's the other massive problem? I gotta be careful about how I present this because of YouTube rules, but there has been a known vulnerability in Arena that, let me just put it this way. Have you found it difficult to get into the top, 1,200 ranked in the Mythic League in order to qualify for the Mythic Qualifier weekend so that you can go to the big tournament and win, prize money or whatever they do there? Well, what if I told you could get there just by deciding to get there and cheating and forfeiting your way there? So there's a vulnerability that I can't just say, here's how you do it step by step, but basically you can increase your percentage and rank, the number or the percentage. You guys probably know on Arena how Mythic rankings work. But if you don't, it starts as a percentage, and then when you get like really high, you get like the actual number ranking. You can increase that by forfeiting. I'm not going to say how, I'm not going to say what combination of steps or what circumstances it happens under, but it has been the worst kept secret, especially now that I'm making a video on it, that there is, in best of 3 ranked, a way to do this. So you can just go up, 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 and then the entire, I assume at this point, top 1,200 that qualify for the weekend are all cheating. Because there's got to be over 1,000 people doing this. And as far as I know, there's no cap. It doesn't level out at any point. It's just, oh, look, I went up. Oh, look, I went up. Oh, look, my ranking went up. And the way I understand it is you either win and then, okay, cool, or you start losing and do the trick, and then you go up anyway. So you just need to spam the number of games, basically. This has been reported, and the day it was reported with their ticket system, silently, not informing anybody else on the internet, but knowing darn well that other people are doing this. But, the number of people who discovered it, keeping that number low. And when a ticket like this comes into your glitch report, support thing, you mark it as ultra critical, fix immediately, red lights flashing, emergency, DEFCON 0, let's go. Like, people are cheating to get into our tournament where we have money on the line with our big push for esports. It might even be illegal in some countries to let it keep running when you know that the people entering are cheating. Or at least there's a liability issue with like anybody else who spent money trying to get into it, which, yeah, if you filed a class action lawsuit right now today, a couple years from now, you'd probably win it. If you can prove that Wizards knew about this and failed to fix it in a reasonable amount of time, or didn't put in enough effort to fix it in a reasonable amount of time and didn't cancel the tournaments, knowing darn well that this happens, yeah, you could probably get 100% of the money you spent on Arena back. So I would strongly recommend, if that's you, you talk to a lawyer. Because people are now like, fine, I'm going to publicly disclose this. I'm done with this. I'm not even going to say who it was, but somebody on Twitter, they just sent out a tweet and it blew up saying, hey, everybody, maybe Wizards will fix it if I make it even more widespread. Here's a public disclosure that it's happening. And they didn't even say how you do it. They just were like, hey, this is a thing. And let me just tell you, in the IT world, you give people a chance. And if they ignore you or it's not even, oh, pay me a bug bounty or I'm going to disclose it. I'm a white hat hacker. Pay me money. I found a problem in your system. Now you owe me. It's like, bitch, you don't work there. But if you're just like, oh, I discovered this thing for the good of the game and the company, I just thought I'd let you guys know. And then they ignore you and they don't fix it. They don't fix it. I think like FFO had that problem where they're like, hey, here's an item duplication problem. And then a month later, like it blew up when people just started discovering it, and on like really shady forums and private shady Discord servers and stuff, people were like, hey, let's do this. And then people came out and said, hey, like 1, 2, 3 months ago, I reported this and they didn't fix it. Item duplication glitches in MMOs, that's like, stay overnight and fix it. That's fix it by tomorrow or we're shutting down the game. Like we're turning off the servers because we can't let this happen. And that just collapsed the entire game. I know that happened in New World, but that's because their bug reporting system was a publicly visible forum. New World was the biggest game design disaster I have ever heard of, and I don't think if you told me a couple years ago, come up with the most disastrous launch of an MMO ever, I probably would have only come up with 75% of the dumb shit they did. So some dumb MMO with pretend items that nobody gives a shit about versus a high-profile, biggest TCG in the world tournament for money. And you've known about the glitch for over a month now, Wizards. What the f***? This is how you mismanage a game, right here. This is why nobody has respect for it. On top of the shuffler issues, which they finally admitted after it was proven when somebody tracked 1 million games and said, this is shifted by 4%. Here's the proof. Here's the numbers. And then they silently fixed that while simultaneously creating a different problem. Then the hand smoother broke, so they added a third, potential opening hand, but then shut it off for certain tournaments, so people's decks were defective. Then they had, because of that, the 13 mountain glitch, which they never fixed and completely ruined an entire online tournament. So all of the results from that tournament were illegitimate. I think of the top 16, 13 or 14 people were playing that deck because it was just a free auto win. To this day, as far as I know, they never did anything about it. Never fixed it. Either that or they did fix it, because see, they never publicly disclosed this shit when they fix it. They never admit it was even a problem in the first place, so we don't know when it got better, or if it did. But it's suspected based on experimentation and brute forcing it that they fixed the 13 mountain problem, but made it worse. Like, they didn't just put boundaries on it, they like did something else that rigs the opening hand, and it has to do with CMC, where they thought that they'd kind of fix it better and make people's lives better when it just misinterprets all the decks I build and screws me over. Now it's suspected that the land draw percentages over time, not just the opening hand, are rigged, and they finally admitted that matchmaking in Brawl was rigged, which everybody suspected that. You'd have to be the most delusional, in denial person to not think that Brawl was rigged. And they just casually mentioned it in a post one time. A long time ago, we added in a system for really like tier 1 commanders to all play against each other, and then any like casual people, we match them up with AI against each other. Oh, so you track deck win percentages. I thought you said you didn't do that. Accidentally admitted that, did you? So look, the devs just come out, oh yeah, casually, we were rigging this the whole time. What? It's for your own good. We don't have to tell you everything. And everybody's like, I knew this shit was rigged. I keep playing against tier 1 shit and I'm like, Bronze League, what the f***? So before this becomes the conspiracy theory, but virtually proven at this point, because like the community is like 3 for 3 on calling them out on confirmed shit that they screwed up. 4 if you count the rank up exploit, which has been proven. Then the draft cheat where you could just look ahead at the packs because they forgot to randomize it properly and just use the pre-made set because they thought they were helping because they don't want a bad draft and they want fairness and inequality for everybody. Isn't that the most lefty shit you ever heard? So they're like, we're gonna rig it, we're gonna hyper control it, we're gonna go full fascism, and we're gonna manage it for you because we're the nanny state and we know better than the players. And then there's just a path of destruction that they left in their wake while they mismanaged it to hell and back. They got their assumptions wrong. They forgot about this angle. What if people run 13 lands? What if people do this? What if people do that? What if people figure out what we're doing and exploit it this way? How about just hands off, freedom, let people do what they want? But, dumbass lefties from Seattle are incapable of even thinking that way. They think they're so much smarter than you that they're going to rig the game and rig the matchmaking because they can can force the game to have fun instead of, fixing the game and balancing it naturally, they're just gonna gaslight you and rig everything. Remember, people figured out that the opening hands had too consistent of land, then they admitted that there's an opening hand mana smoothing system. People figured out that the shuffler was broken by tracking a million games with a third-party plugin, then they patched it. Every single thing that they were forced to disclose and fix, including people figuring out that when you switched decks, you got completely different opponents with Brawl, and then afterwards that was disclosed by the developers. Every single time, it was the community figuring it out first through statistics, evidence, and feelings from playing paper for 10 years, then coming to this shit pile and realizing it works a little differently, and not believing Wizards gaslighting bullshit about, well, maybe you've just been shuffling incorrectly. You're not randomizing paper, but our randomization is perfect. And then somebody comes out on Reddit, actually, and they're like, oh yeah, that is a shuffler glitch. Oops, we fixed it. And like people said, why did my deck all fall apart the second I went to the mythic qualifier? Oh yeah, we turn off the hand smoothing system for tournaments. Well, that would have been nice to know. Every single time, it's the community saying we think something's a little suspect, proving it, and then having Wizards come out and say, oh yeah, it was rigged the whole time. Oops. Well, why is everybody so mad? It's for your own good. We know better than you. Yeah, if you think you're getting a fair chance, if they're willing to do all this shit, can you imagine what they're doing to paid users versus non-paid users on Arena? Can you even imagine what system is in place there? And they're not even willing to fix the most basic glitch that's affecting their entire thing. So as far as I know, because tomorrow's February 1st, the next Mythic qualifier, the cutoff for this one, every single person who made it into it is cheating. Because you can't compete with, I literally never rank down. And I feel like it's a little more than 10 people who know about it. Like it's probably above 1,200, which is the number that qualify, I believe. So logically, like I said, every single person in the tournament cheated. Maybe it's a trap. Maybe they left it open. And they're just, instead of holding the tournament, gonna ban 1,200 people and say, never come back, you cheating. But see, that's what a company with a spine would do. They're too busy, instead of fixing Arena, trying to hire replacements for the developers that quit and trying to buy back their domains that they accidentally let lapse. So, yeah, they aren't just idiots on Twitter. They aren't just idiots in play design and testing. They're actually idiots in all facets of their lives. Okay, they are incompetent, they're lazy, and they're incapable of doing their jobs. They're unqualified. Most of them are socialists who think that they shouldn't even have to work anyway. And most of them are sitting at home with, 8 different vaccine jabs still because they're afraid of COVID, and a lot of them are in their 20s. That's the caliber of people who are stupid enough with the reputation of Wizards to still work there. And on top of it, they're based in Seattle, so they get to hire people generally from Seattle. That's everything that's wrong with the company right now. I can't say that with a straight face. That's the tip of the iceberg of what's wrong with their company right now. That's why when people say the future of the game is in jeopardy and everything's about to fail, that's because it pretty much always is, and somehow they pull it out of their ass every time. But I don't think they have it this time, especially since I believe tomorrow the video might be going up. I'm going to show off a little bit better game. I'm under gentlemanly handshake NDA, but I will put it out there right now, okay? If the video where I talk about it gets 100,000 views, I will fly out, meet up with the owners of the game, and play the paper version of it as close as I can get to Wizards parking lot. Because their corporate headquarters is actually really close to Wizards, which is kind of funny. 100K views, I'll do it. Because that's about what a plane ticket is. I will go to Wizards headquarters, and I will sit across the street or whatever, and while looking at their headquarters in the background, play a better game than Magic the Gathering on my Magic the Gathering exclusive channel. That's the level me and Wizards' relationship is at this point. We should probably seek a marriage counselor at this point. But they blacklisted me and I shit-talked them for 8 years, so... Anyway, thanks for watching. Hopefully Wizards gets their shit together. Just kidding. And I'll see you guys next video.